What's up everyone, Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and here we are. We're at the beginning of the year-end list, at least for me. I'm gonna go through my top 40 albums of 2021, and this is gonna be, well, done in multiple parts. So this part right here will be 40 through 26. This was an exceptional year for metal. Again, I think everyone being kind of forced to sit back, write, not being able to tour, I think actually came up with some really good inspired metal pretty much across the board. So of course, because there was so much good stuff, this was really difficult to make this list, but I got it down to 40, the 40 that impacted me probably the most this year. So here we go, let's kick this off. Number 40, Fear Factory, Aggression Continuum. I was skeptical as to whether or not this album would ever come out, and I'm so glad it did because I think this is one of Fear Factory's best in recent years. Now, unfortunately, of course, it comes with the price. Burton Bell sadly exited the band. You know, the only member that has been on every single release. Granted, Dino has been pretty much the backbone of the band as well. This kind of comes at a price because I don't know if there are going to be future Fear Factory releases. I mean, I imagine there will be, but honestly, I can't imagine Fear Factory without Burton because he's been a part of every album. And one of those, like, whether you love him or hate him in terms of his vocal style, it's a huge part of their sound. And this album flat out whoops ass. This brings all the aggression that is advertised on it and delivers some flat out catchy songs. Great melodies, of course. Dino's great chugging just mastery. His right hand is just disgusting when it comes down to the riffs on here. And Burton delivering his nasty growls and really solid cleans on here. This is a fantastic album. Just kind of crept in, but I think this one at least restored some faith in Fear Factory in terms of them putting out new music and being capable of delivering stuff that is close to the same level as Obsolete, Demanufacture, and so on. I particularly love the title track on here, Cognitive Dissonance, Fuel-Injected Suicide Machine. Pretty much if you love Fear Factory, this was a good payoff, and again, kind of comes with a price, but still, number 40 on my list, just snuck in there. Kind of a comeback album, I guess, at least in terms of courtroom battles and such, but a welcome return. Thank you, Fear Factory, number 40. At number 39, we have Nervosa, Perpetual Chaos. I really didn't have like huge expectations for this album when it came out. I like Nervosa. They play a very aggressive style of thrash, but this one, again, I guess some turmoil because the entire lineup, save their guitarist, actually pretty much left the band and they ended up forming Crypto, which is also really good. Now, I guess you could say her back was against the wall in terms of forming a new lineup and sort of forging ahead with the sound, and they did it remarkably. I think this is one of Nervosa's strongest albums, namely because they took that aggressive style of thrash, you know, bringing all those heavy riffs left and right, but this included more death metal. So this is almost a death metal album, or death thrash at least. The songs on here flat out whoop ass. There is pretty much a no frills sort of feel about it. It just delivers on riffs, leads, hyper aggressive songs. The new vocalist does an incredible job on here. I really loved pretty much all of these songs. Like, there are so many damn good songs. Blood Eagle, Godless Prisoner, until the very end. There are nothing but bangers on here, and I really like the fact that she stepped up, she got her lineup together, and she put out quite possibly the best album of their career so far. I love the whole feel of rising to adversity on this, and they really stepped up, got a great album together, tweaked their sound a bit, and it came out very refreshing overall. So Perpetual Chaos, number 39, definitely check this album out, whoops ass. Number 38, Ghastly, Mercurial Passages. This awesome Finnish death metal band came out with a banger of an album, and it was kind of refreshing because we reviewed this one not long after we reviewed the new Portal, which definitely fucked with our heads. This was almost kind of refreshing, but I kept coming back to it because I wanted to make sure it just wasn't refreshing to hear something a little bit more normal. And honestly, it wasn't just that. This album is incredible. I love the lush melodies that are all over here, and there's incredible riff work just across the board here. This has some sort of like cosmic atmosphere to it, and I mean, that cover's pretty cosmic too. I still don't know what's going on there, but she looks really sticky, and that's kind of gross. But I love this album. It flat out, just the whole feel of it, very intense. There's lots of cool thrashy parts. It's not just a blast beat fest. These guys like to create a real cool mood and atmosphere across the board. I really love the song Out of the Psychic Blue, particularly. I think that one's just a fantastic song. Another one that came out on 20 buck spin. Get ready to see a lot of 20 buck spin releases on here because they had a killer year. But yeah, this one snuck in under the radar, and dude, just great songs across the board. If you like your death metal a little bit more atmospheric but still riffy as hell, this right here, number 38, Gastly. Check it out. Number 37, Anthropophagous, Death Fugue. I kind of just picked this one up on a whim. I believe I picked this up on Head Split Records, which this is where that comes out on. And holy shit, this whooped ass. Lots of great thrashy riffs, but really raw production. It's gritty, it's in your face. While it is definitely more primal, they definitely have a lot of cool nuance to their songs. This album just flat out delivered wall-to-wall intensity, but God, loads of groove, really cool breakdowns, and legit hooks. Like, for as aggressive and raw and gritty as this is, there are some killer hooks across the board. Really dig this. It kind of gave me like that feel when I first heard Tomb Mold. Like, it's just really fucking good, but it's really brutal at the same time, and again, catchy. Mostly like, you know, for death metal fans, but God, really solid offering. I'd say it might have flown under the radar for most people, but I kept coming back to it, and yeah, solid album, and that's why it's here on this list. Check it out. Gojira Fortitude. This one might be a tad controversial because I noticed there's still kind of a divisive nature about this album, whether or not they're softening up too much. I think they wrote one of the best albums of their career. I think this is actually even better than Magma in some respects. They delivered giant anthemic songs that have so many damn hooks. I have jammed the song Hold On so many damn times. The bouncy chug to that is just so damn good, and man, that chorus with the big fight, you know, gang vocal on there. There's something about these songs that just really motivate me. I don't know. Like, I really like the overall vibe of this. I think getting Andy Wallace to mix this one, it definitely broadened out their sound. While some might say the guitars might have been pushed back a little bit, but it also kind of gives the album room for all the other elements to come in, because this definitely has loads of atmosphere on it. And God, these are some of the catchiest songs I think they've written here lately. And thematically, a lot of this stuff I connect with. These guys are just solid dudes, and they are honest in their intentions. They stand up for all the stuff that they sing about, and I really respect that. But that would all be lost if they didn't write killer tunes, and they wrote a whole giant batch of them. Not as good as, you know, some past efforts, I think, but this is still a solid album, and I love Gojira still because they keep making quality music. So for whatever reason, if you have slept on the new Gojira, I recommend at least checking out. I think it's a solid album, and that is why it is on my year-end list. So yeah, check it out. Number 35, we have Monolord, Your Time to Shine. This one was a recent one that I just kept jamming, and it ended up on my list because, well, not only is Monolord awesome, I don't think they have a bad album, but I think they're getting better at blending doom and stoner metal to like a really cool homogenized sound, because these guys capture all the warmth and fuzz of stoner metal, but the bleak, oppressive sound in terms of doom metal. And then throw in a lot of cool spacey atmosphere. I love this album. I love their last one, No Comfort, was incredible too. But this one, I think I just connect with a little bit more because there's a really cool, chill but heavy vibe on this. Like, when it comes down to the heavy riffs, especially on I'll Be Damned, they are heavier than hell. But they balance that out really well with like really trippy desert rock vibes on here. The atmosphere in here is just, I don't know, like very spacey and immersive. I really dig this album. Once again, but again, I dig all of Monolord's albums. They really don't have a bad album. And this is no exception, obviously, because it's on my list. If you love stoner metal and doom metal and just sort of trippy but heavy stuff, strongly recommend this new album. I recommend all their albums though, but yeah, number 35, amazing stuff. Check it out. Number 34, At the Gates, The Nightmare of Being. Again, this one is somewhat divisive amongst fans because this is definitely a very different album for At the Gates. They sort of embrace their inner prog nerds. And honestly, it's the theme on here that I really resonated with, because the whole, you know, pessimism as a safeguard, being able to just embrace the fact that bad shit will happen and kind of use that to reinforce that all those good moments, you want to hold on to them as hard as you can because you're guaranteed tragedy. That really echoes on here. But this also offered up, again, one of their most varied listens. Cosmic Pessimism actually has one of my favorite lines in there. Pessimism, the last refuge of hope. And it's a really interesting song because it definitely does not sound like typical At the Gates. It actually sounds more like a Killing Joke song. And The Fall into Time is definitely their proggiest song to date. I love the dynamics on it. I think it's one of their best written songs too. Like, it just has a distinct feel, but it never loses the sense that it's At the Gates. And you still get bangers like The Paradox and Spectre of Extinction, which just sound like straightforward At the Gates. I think this is easily one of their most interesting albums. I think it's a little bit divisive in terms of the fan base. There are people that, you know, did not like it because it did not sound 100% like At the Gates and kind of carried on themes from To Drink from the Night itself, except I think they did it better here. But honestly, I like the fact that they see this band as a continually evolving creature. Like, they want to keep building on their sound, and they still retain all the hallmarks of At the Gates. So, very strong album from At the Gates. I recommend checking it out. Again, it is a bit different, but it is a worthwhile journey. Check it out. Darkthrone, Eternal Hails. Now, this one, again, somewhat divisive because, well, Darkthrone haven't necessarily abandoned black metal, but it definitely isn't as black metal as they have been. And this one, they just went way back to early heavy metal and made quite possibly one of the most minimalist production jobs in a while. This sounds like a demo, but oh my god, it's Riff City. Like, literally, they just based everything on sort of minimalist riffs, melodies, and I think they crafted one of their most interesting albums. Now, while I would have loved to have heard the production job on Old Star actually on this, I think it would have complemented the riffs a little bit more. I really love the fact that they just wrote riffy songs. Like, this is very early 80s, late 70s, sort of like proto-metal, heavy metal, and I love just that classic vibe that's on here. Darkthrone does whatever the fuck Darkthrone wants to do, and I kind of like that sort of spirit in that band. And I kind of like the whole, I don't know if this is going to be popular or not, but fuck it, we're going to do it. So I think they did something really cool. It's a cool throwback in terms of like heavy metal. The production, yeah, it's very demo-ish, but I think it just kind of adds a cool quality to it. Love Darkthrone. I think this is a damn strong release. I don't know where it would rank in our Darkthrone ranking because this wasn't out at the time, but this is a damn good album. And again, Darkthrone does whatever the fuck Darkthrone wants, and well, they did this and it was good. So check it out. Number 32, I believe that's what we're at. Memoriam To the End. This is the best Memoriam album yet. Now, Memoriam, again, formed as a tribute to Kitty Kearns, who sadly passed on a while ago, longtime drummer for Bolt Thrower. They wanted to continue on with the Bolt Thrower spirit, groove, riffs, pummeling, and this album, I think, is their best so far. The opening track, Onwards Into Battle, has that For Victory sort of vibe, or, you know, Fourth Crusade. Everything on here feels very inspired. The mix is great. The new drummer does a great job on here. This is one of those albums where I feel like they just dug down deep and they wanted to recapture that sound, and man, this is on par with some Bolt Thrower releases. Awesome album, killer epic melodies. This is flat out Bolt Thrower glory, just with a different name. I strongly recommend this album if you're a longtime Bolt Thrower fan and you've kind of slept on Memoriam, because there are some not great releases. Dismiss that. Go get this one, and then eventually go get the other ones too. I mean, at least if you're a completionist like me. But this captures that old feel. You're gonna get nostalgic vibes left and right, but it's still gonna sound fresh and interesting because, man, if this is what the future of Memoriam is gonna sound like, I am so fucking on board. So yeah, definitely check this out. Bolt Thrower is essentially back, at least in spirit, or in a different name. Well, with other bands too, of course, but yeah, check this out, it's awesome. Crypt Crawler, Future Usurper. This one came out of left field for me this year. I picked this one up on a whim at a distro, and holy shit, this is flat out amazing. This is so attached to that 90s death metal, almost death thrash sound, and particularly there's a lot of stuff in here that reminds me of Death's Spiritual Healing. The guitar harmonies on this are flat out amazing. They have that Chuck Schuldiner sound to it. but it can switch gears to flat out thrash metal at any second and go into almost progressive metal territory in some instances on here. Again, this whole album kind of caught me off guard. I just kind of picked this one up on a whim, mostly because I like the album cover, but literally I kind of thought I was going to get like, you know, Entombed Worship. I didn't. I got essentially death worship, but I would call it 90s death metal worship, and it's done so damn well. If you love your death metal, technical, riffy, thrashy, and also with a firm chokehold on the years from 1990 to 1993, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. This is just 90s death metal glory that came out in 2021. It's an absolutely amazing album from start to finish. The guitar work on here is so goddamn good. If you're a giant 90s death metal fan like I am, this is gonna resonate with you really well. So yeah, definitely check it out. Craven Idol, Forked Tongues. This is one of the best black and thrash metal albums I heard this year. Actually, you know, it might be. But I love the fact that this delivers very heavily on the black metal side. There are flat out giant epics on here. Title track, Even the Demons. There is a classic sort of like immortal and maybe even dissection vibe on some of these songs, but they still throw in some just frantic Slayer riffs here and there. I love this album. I wasn't the biggest fan of their last album, but I loved their debut album. So this is kind of like a return to form for them, even though I don't think the last album was necessarily that bad, but this feels way more focused. The songs are just loaded with hooks, and it's vicious. It is visceral as hell, and that's why I made my list. This is just black and thrash done very well and in a very epic fashion, just in terms of the songwriting. Like, this isn't short and sweet songs all the time. These guys build long, nasty, blackened songs, and holy shit, they're good. So much like any of these releases, definitely check this out. Kraven Idol, number 30, awesome album. Into the 20s, we go with number 29, Blood Red Throne, Imperial Congregation. This album is singular in purpose, and it does it so well. This just delivers riffs, groove, solid leads, and just pummeling rhythms left and right. Like, this is just like Cannibal Corpse kind of worship, and just built on breakdowns and in-your-face riffing. I fucking love the vibe in this album. Now, I'm a longtime Blood Red Throne fan, but I think they refined pretty much everything they do to damn near perfection on this. The back-to-back punch of Ithaca and Conquered Malevolence pretty much had me sold right away. I love the fact that they just stripped it down to the bare essentials of death metal, and within those elements, they worked out a fucking killer album. It doesn't sound bare bones at all. Every song just strikes with just such fury on here. Absolutely love this album. I've jammed this one quite a bit. I think it's one of their strongest offerings in recent years, and yeah, they inked a new deal with Nuclear Blast, so hopefully we hear more albums like this in the future, because holy shit, this is just everything I love about death metal. Just bring it down to the bare essentials and riff my fucking face off. That is this album. Definitely check it out. Number 28, Yautja The Lurch. This band is one of those like indescribable heavy bands, because they take so many elements from hardcore, death metal, grindcore, maybe even power violence. This is just a nuts cathartic listen that is hyper aggressive in spots and then just densely atmospheric in others. I love pretty much every track on here, and this has such an interesting vibe, and the drum performance on this album is probably one of my favorites of the year, because this dude is just frantic as hell, but he has such cool calculated fills and transitions, and you just couple that with the raw nature of this band's music. It is just somewhere between like Nails and Converge, and then maybe a little bit of Napalm Death too. That blend of so many different styles was what really kept me coming back to this, because song to song the whole vibe can change on here. This is such a strange and awesome listen. I look forward to seeing them in MDF next year. Unfortunately, I missed them on their tour with Inner Arma, but it's gonna happen, and I can't wait, because these songs flat out crush. And if you have not checked this one out, it's a weird one, but it's flat out awesome, and definitely check it out. Helslave from the Sulphur Depths. I pretty much got hip to this one courtesy of our buddies at Everlasting Spew, even though this came out on Pulverized. These guys are pretty much the Italian version of Bloodbath. This is so rooted in that Entombed, Dismember, and of course Bloodbath sound, it flat out whoops ass. Riffs, melodies, HM2 tone, Dan Swano production, they pretty much checked off everything I already love about all that stuff in the past too. Every track on here is just steeped with all of that, and somehow it stays fresh. It doesn't sound too much like a tribute act. Like, these songs sound like their own, they're well crafted, there's loads of D-beat glory on here, and my god, that over-the-top death metal spirit is all over this. There have been a ton of HM2 death metal bands that have come out this year, and this was one that really stood out from the pack, namely because the songwriting was so damn good, and my god, the production on here, it just captures that vibe so well. Easily one of my favorite HM2 death metal bands that have recently come up. I strongly urge you to check this out, especially again if you love Bloodbath, Entombed, Dismember, anything with an HM2 tone, and pretty much anything that Dan Swano has produced, because holy shit, he did a great job in here. This album flat out crushes. Let it crush you too. Number 27, Helslave. Check it out. And finally, to round this batch out, we have Mortiferum, Preserved in Torment at number 26. This album flat out whoops ass, and I'm still divided as to whether or not I like this one more than Disgorged from Psychotic Depths, or vice versa, because they're both excellent. And way to go, guys. Back-to-back releases on year-end list for me. This band flat out knows how to do the murkiest death doom out there so damn well. I think the production might be a bit better on this one than Disgorged. The drums in particular sound fantastic in here. I love the riffs. There's like this nasty, just murky vibe throughout, and they love to switch off from just dreary tremolo harmonies to just bone-crunching, chugging riffs. And those death doom breakdowns are so goddamn heavy. I pretty much love everything about this album. Again, it's kind of hard to say whether or not it's better than the last one because they're both fucking excellent, which isn't a bad problem to have, but I can tell you the first two tracks, Eternal Procession and Incubus of Blood-Stained Visions, not only are those great song titles, they're fucking great songs, and that is exactly how to lead off this, but oh my god, every track on here, flat out whoops ass. I've been jamming this one a lot, and oh man, it is just dirty sounding. It's pure filth, and you should check it out if you slept on this one for whatever reason. If you're a Death Doom nut, there's a damn good chance you already got it. But if you haven't, get it, because it's fucking awesome, and if you love the last one, you're gonna love this one too. Mortiferum, number 26. Let's do this. All right, that was 40 through 26. The next batch is 25 through 11, and then on to the top 10. Man, this was tough to put together, but it was also kind of fun because there was so much damn good music, and I got to listen to it all. Oh, imagine my suffering. So, what were some of your favorites this year? Let me know down in the comments. I don't know if everyone's doing 40. I just am because I listen to a lot of music and I wanted to include a lot. But yeah, let me know some of your favorites. Again, this is just the first part. Part 2 will be up not too long after this one, so get ready for some more kick-ass releases. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you would like to help us out there, there'll be a link down below. We also have t-shirts for sale, and we are going to be reloading on all that stuff here soon. But if you would like one and we have the size, hit us up on thrallsmetal@gmail.com. Send us a message, put shirts in it, and we will get back to you and hopefully sell you a shirt. I just want to say thank you all once again. This has been another killer year of doing this, and I love to hear all your responses. This has been so much damn fun, and it is all due to you guys. So thank you once again, and we will catch you later.